After having sailed down the wild west coast of the Baja Peninsula, then hanging out in the incredible waters of the Gulf of California, 4 months have passed and it is now time to head back to the Pacific Northwest to refill the cruising kitty. With Kat off to Nepal to guide a trek to the Mount Everest base camp, I'm solo aboard Sea Dream of Clyde and now departing on my longest single-handed sail to date, 90 miles across the Gulf of California from San Juanico on the Baja side over to San Carlos on the mainland side, where we will store the boat for the summer. After days of strong northerlies blowing, a favorable weather window has opened up for the crossing, so I waste no time pulling anchor and setting off on this bright, sunny spring morning. The wind is rather fluky out of the gate here, but looks like it's going to be a bit better just offshore. The winds are forecast to be from the north to around 10 to 15 knots until around 2, and then switching to the south. But the seas are pretty mellow, despite having been blowing for so long. Well, I kicked on the engine for about 15 minutes because I was stuck in these doldrums, and all around me in a big circle I could see wind to the north, to the south, to the east, and so decided just to use the engine for a little bit, and I think it was worthwhile because I'm sailing along at 3.5 knots now instead of bobbing around at 1 knot or less. Well, so far I've had to hand steer pretty much the whole time, only about 2.5 hours. But the wind is filling in now, it seems, and I'm hoping it's going to stick around for a while and I can take a rest from the hand steering. The hydrovane is having a hard time with the swell and light wind. It kind of keeps veering into the wind, so maybe I need to adjust the sails a bit here, but this stronger wind will make things a lot easier, so it's picking up as we speak. Well, the forecast has been fairly correct so far, except for it was supposed to be more northwesterly and ended up being kind of north, and now it's kind of coming out of the northeast, so my heading's not very good. It's like I'm almost actually heading southeast right now. I'm just gonna keep on doing this heading because it's kind of the only one I can do, and it's at least getting me towards the mainland. Well, I'm stuck in irons right now. I'm drifting to the southwest now. There's little wisps of wind. I'm trying to get the boat to come around. It's been impossible so far the last few minutes here, but did feel a couple wisps of wind from the south, so maybe this is the start of the southerly. Let's hope so. This is driving me a little crazy. Okay, so I can't get through the wind, so I'm going to chicken jibe. It's where you go like around the other way. Let's see how this goes. Okay, now I'm pointing directly where I came from. Let's see if the boat will keep turning. Okay, the boom just sent itself across. We're briefly going to be away on wing here. Getting around the wind finally here. Okay, much better. I am pointing where I want to go now and going along at about 3 knots with the wind seemingly increasing. So it's coming from the east right now, which wasn't forecasted, but I'll take it. And it's supposed to swing around to the south momentarily. So this is great. It's taking care of some dishes and starting to prepare for nighttime, which is still 3 hours away, but better be prepared. Well, the wind is gradually increasing and has swung around pretty much to completely south now. Still got this northerly swell that's causing it a little bit of grief. The sails are flopping a bit because of it, but it's decreasing as well. So we got a nice night ahead. There'll be a sliver of moon that'll come up later on, but the stars should be nice and bright, so I'm looking forward to that. the sun's getting ready to set. It's still pretty mellow going. The wind angle's changed and we're back kind of heading northeast, but that's okay. I'll probably just stay on this for a while. And I'm also reflecting on the fact that this might well be my last sail this season before we put Cedar McClyde on the hard until probably October. So yeah, it doesn't feel emotional just yet, but talking about it makes me feel a little emotional about it. After about 9 months now of sailing, it's gonna be a pretty big change to not be sailing at all. But I'm excited for the next things to come, to be playing in the mountains and working and just doing some different things for a bit. And not having a boat to work on will be kind of neat for a summer, because it's gonna have me doing other things instead of always wanting to go sailing and tinkering on the boat. So yeah, feels interesting for sure. I'm sure I'll have more to say about it later. When you're sailing in light wind conditions like this, just a little increase in the wind, you're like, oh, you feel it. You feel that little tiny bit of wind on your face, a little extra wind. You get all excited, and that's what's just happening right now. And as a consequence, we've gone from going 3 knots to 3.6 knots, and I just barely feeling a little bit more wind on my cheeks. And especially when you're going downwind, your apparent wind is reduced, because right now we're going 3.6 knots down the wind. So if there's 10 knots of wind, you're only feeling about 6 knots of wind. So you feel it a lot more when that starts coming up, and it's just coming up now right as the sun's setting here. So I'm feeling very fortunate, hoping it builds some more. Okay, after a bunch of very slow sailing, including about an hour where I had to hand steer, the wind has come up nicely from the east-southeast, and we're just on a wonderful beam reach, going 4.5 knots. Wow! And hope it doesn't increase much more, because this is perfect right now. But I can see the lights of Guaymas up ahead. I can also see Loreto behind me in the distance, and some other cities on the mainland shore. So there's some things to look at. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, it feels really good. There's almost no waves at all. The northerly swell seems to have stopped completely, I think. And so it's just flat water sailing for now, so I'm gonna savor this. Alright, it's about 2 in the morning, and the breeze has just picked up and changed. It changed by quite a bit to more east-northeast or northeast. So I'm close hauled now, and the boat's just starting to pick up. It's super damp out right now, really, really damp air. And so the boat is soaked. It's so wet, it's like as if it had rained, but the stars are out. It's just heavy dew. Gonna keep trying to get little naps in. I'm just napping on the settee here, poking my head up every now and again. There's no boats anywhere around here, and the wind has been steady, so I haven't had to do much with the sails, but we'll see what happens the next little while here. The forecast did show that it would pick up around now, so here we go. Well, that was a pretty slow night until the last 2 hours or so. It's really kicked up, going about 6 to 7 knots now, making up some lost time. So it feels pretty good. The sea state's really chill. The fetch is only about 20 or 25 miles to land, and I got about 30 miles left to go, I think. So if this keeps up, I'll be in by about 10 o'clock. I thought I was gonna have to reef, but the wind kind of backed off just a little bit, so kind of perfect right now. Screaming along, 5.5, 6.5 knots. There's this cloud towards land, and I'm kind of wondering if it's fog. I heard there can be fog on the mainland shore sometimes, so we'll see. But there's lots of time for it to burn off before I get there. Fingers crossed. I don't really want to deal with that coming into an unknown harbor. I'm gonna try and lay down again a little bit. I'm still a ways from shore, so there shouldn't be anything out here. There's no, it's really deep, like 5,000 feet, so I don't really think people are fishing out here. But yeah, I'm tired. I'm real tired. Just spotted the Mexican mainland coast for the first time. I've never actually been to mainland Mexico, just Baja. I'm closing in on 20 miles left to go. Pretty bumpy seas here, but I'm making really good time and the boat's riding really well on them. Going downwind, down the waves. The waves are pushing me rather than what's most of the time I've been bashing against them. So this is a pretty good change of pace. And so yeah, it's good. Making really good pace. 6.5 knots. $15 miles to go! Woo! Should be there pretty quick. Zooming along at 6 knots right now. Wow, that was incredible. I was laying down in the cabin for a little bit, and then I started hearing the birds, and then I heard dolphins, and I jumped out, and then they're everywhere, and that was so incredible, and leaping through the air like that. Wow. Ooh, this has felt like a very long last few miles. I've been looking at the same thing for, yeah, like 15 miles now, so 3 hours. But just about to enter the harbor here. Yeah, I'll anchor up and settle in and go to sleep. I'm exhausted. I took like maybe 6 or 7 little cat naps, and maybe I slept for like 5 or 10 minutes during each one. So I'm bagged. I think I'll just anchor, maybe have a little rinsey shower, and then go to sleep if I can. We'll see. Okay, I am anchored, and I'm gonna lay down and have a nap now. Whew. I actually feel okay. It was all in all pretty good. I mean, pretty mellow seas most of the time, and then when the wind came up, the seas came up naturally, but they weren't crazy or anything. It was just fun, fast sailing once it did come up, so cool. Made it! While this trip across the Gulf of California was never especially spicy, it turned out to be a long adventure. The 90 miles took 26 hours to cover, good for an average of just 3.5 knots. It was a strange feeling dropping the hook knowing this was the last time I would do so until the fall. For over 2 years, I had lived aboard Seadrill McLeod almost constantly, but now in just a few days, I'd be leaving this wonderful vessel and home base behind for over half a year. While the journey across was a good challenge, the hard work of putting Sea Dream to bed for the summer began the next day. Well, good morning. I had a great sleep. I went to sleep at like 7:30 p.m. and then woke up at about 4 a.m. and then slept for another hour. So I still feel tired. I feel like there's still some more catching up to do with the rest after that long push, but it's beautiful here in the morning. There's no boats running around. It's quite cool out, dry and cool. So it's a nice way to start the day in the cabin here with the door shut actually. I'm gonna start the morning with a bit of video editing and then get it to work on a few projects as I prepare to lay the boat up for the summer. Okay, so the sun is up now, and it'll start to warm up, and the wind is calm, so this is a really good opportunity for me to get the sails off. It's going to be difficult to fold them by myself up here, but I'll do the best I can, and then once I can find some help, I'll fold them properly out in a parking lot or something once I'm at the marina, but this is a really good time to do this now, so I'm going to take care of it. not pretty, but it'll work for now until I have a hand. Well, I had a lovely morning on board, my last night on anchor for a while, for about 6 months, until we're back here in San Carlos in the fall. I just went on the dinghy to go check out my slip and to see that the boat is asked when they're leaving, and they were actually just leaving. And it so happened they needed a bit of a hand. They had found themselves sideways in the slip. So that was good timing for everybody involved. And yeah, now the wind there's little gusts, but it's not so bad. So I'm going to get going right away here before they happen to increase. And I have a lot of room to get into the slip. Though solo docking, especially when you haven't docked for a while and you're going into a slip rather than alongside, is exciting at times, but I think I'll be just fine. Okay, with a little help from my slip neighbor, I got on the dock. A big gust came right as coming in, and luckily I jumped off when I did, got the stern line on, and kept the boat from swinging across the slip, because I would have just ended up on the other slip there. Alright, I am taking care of lots of things on the boat. I got the dinghy taken apart and washed down. I got a bunch of lines washed. I got the outboard off, of course. I'm going to track down a mechanic to take care of the outboard. I haven't really done a winterization yet, and I know it's not that complicated, but I just got my hands full, not having the help of Kat, who is doing awesome things right now in Nepal, which is all good. It's great, but I have lots to do by myself here. So. I'm just puttering away here, and I'm going to bring a few lines down that are still in good shape and I'm not replacing, and so I'll leave a tracer line for them. It's really important to do that, especially in these climates where the sun will just roast them and you'll have to replace your lines within a couple of years. So that's what I'm doing right now. Beautiful, peaceful morning here in San Carlos, the marina. Looking forward to another productive day. I got lots done yesterday, so I'm in really good shape for today. And then I don't haul out till tomorrow around 2, so I have lots more time there before I'm out of the water. Well, the fun continues. I got heaps of things off the deck and into the boat, including a new mattress from my friend Brian. So I'm getting rid of the old ones. I'm going to see if I can give them away, or otherwise put them in the dumpster. So the mattress is included in all the stuff up here, and the old topper to the V-berth mattress, but also a bunch of stuff from outside, and all the sails and whatnot too. So here's what it looks like in the V-berth now. All this is staying on the boat, except for that chart book, and then this stuff is our climbing gear that we're bringing back. I was putting things in the aft cabin, but instead I've made that my sleeping quarters now. Basically, once I'm about to leave the boat, I'll be putting the dinghy in here, the life raft, those water jugs, any last little bits that are laying around up on deck will just go inside the cabin, and then I'll put our little covers on the windows, and hopefully they're going to stay, and a couple tarps up on deck to cover some stuff up, and that'll be it. Got the oil change to do still. Oil should be changed before your boat's going to be stored for a while, because I understand that there's sulfur in it, and the oil turns into sulfuric acid if it's just sitting there, and it can start to score parts of the engine and cause problems down the road. So I'll definitely be doing that. And other things to do with the engine would be the impeller and just an overall cleanup and inspection. That can also wait till the new season because I'm not going anywhere. So yeah, that's what I'm up to now. With my hands literally full all day, I didn't end up recording any footage until you see me leaving the dock to go haul out the next day. With the daily westerly winds kicking up, I got a hand moving over to the boat launch dock. Thanks John from SV Cahoots for the help. Having only ever seen my boats be pulled out of the water using a travel lift, it was an interesting sight to watch as the workers loaded up Sea Dream onto the hydraulic trailer in preparation to tow it about a mile down the road to the boatyard. Despite having applied good quality bottom paint to the hull in the form of Interlux CSC Micron just 9 months earlier, There was considerable growth even though I had scraped the bottom several times throughout the winter. Okay, as you can probably see, I am in the midst of getting the boat ready to tuck away. I have scrubbed the outside, below the waterline and above it, getting rid of some stains so they don't sink in even more over the summer. And now I'm going to start working on the engine. Got to do an oil change and I need to flush it out, so that'll happen at the same time. I'm going to take the raw water cooling hose off the raw water filter and then put it into a bucket of water so it can just suck fresh water out of there, and that'll flush all the salt out. And at the same time it'll warm the engine up, which I need for when I'm doing the oil change, so I'm going to do that now. So the hose pressure is so low that it's not keeping up, so I'm just letting the engine run a bit longer by filling it up from the tank a bit. Okay, I've not been doing much filming because I'm a little too busy trying to get ready to go here, but things are coming along good, cabin's looking good, yeah, feeling pretty good. And I'm just starting to put aluminum over the main cabin windows to block out the sun from them and to reduce the heat coming in and also protect the seals around the window as well. So that's my next step here. I put cardboard in the forward ones because aluminum won't really work. Got some tarps up, so yeah, carrying on here. Boat's looking pretty good. It's chaotic in here, but I got a nice bunk to sleep in. And there's nice sunset starting up here. Air is cool outside. It's hot in here. I have all the windows shut. Got some fans going. But yeah, leaving in 12 hours. Leaving old Seadrill McLeod here, so it feels pretty weird, but I'm excited for summer. Okay, here's a very quick boat being stored for the summer tour, full of stuff. So we have a main salon with the dinghy and fenders and some spare foam because we got given a new mattress. Here's the galley, dishes clean, that's good. Here's the outboard engine for the dinghy and the crew overboard pull. There's all our water jugs. The head is empty of anything and the lockers are empty. Then the V-berth is completely packed full of all kinds of good stuff. And then heading aft, we've got the aft cabin. I've left it nice and empty so we can just show up and go to sleep when we get back here in the fall. And then, yeah, outside's pretty much just tidy and stripped of much of anything. Before I leave in the morning, I'm going to be putting the boom in here. So that'll be the last thing I'll do before I leave. And then I'll turn around and say goodbye to Seadream. It's going to be pretty wild walking away from this boat for what's going to be 5.5 to 6 months. So, yeah, lots of emotions, a lot of different emotions, but excited. So just like that, I was on the road back to Canada. Following 3 days of travel across the United States, I arrived back to a nice spring day in the Pacific Northwest and promptly headed to the beautiful Gulf Islands where I grew up to visit friends and family that I missed so much over the winter. Driving back as I did was a nice way to return home. It allowed me lots of time to think and reflect on the incredible journey that Kat and I made down the west coast to get to Mexico. I contemplated the mixed feelings I had had as we left the spectacular sailing of the Sailor Sea behind and the sometimes severe challenges we faced as we sailed offshore to San Francisco. I recalled all the beautiful anchorages and harbors we stopped in and the wonderful days and nights of sailing it took us to eventually round the East Cape and enter the protected waters of the Gulf of California. It was a life-changing adventure that now had to be put on pause until the fall. In the upcoming episodes, we jump forward to the fall of 2024 to give an update on what's next for sailing Seadrill McLeod and then resume the adventures in Mexico. Thanks so much for watching, and bye for now.